it can be very difficult to get people into an athletic stance. We can have them try putting their hands out in front like they're holding a lunch tray, and then just bouncing up and down on their toes with their chest right over their toes, and then feeling like the weight is on their toes. But if that's not working, and many times it doesn't, we have to come up with some ideas. One thing we can do is actually go over and physically put the person in the proper position. Or even before we try that, we could just try to take up the intensity of the bouncing until they're actually coming off the ground, and many times that can help them get more centered with their chest right over their toes. Or going down and trying to take their hands and touch their hands to their knees, keeping their chest right over their toes and feeling the weight right on their toes as they're going down and up. But as in this case, where the student is still having difficulties getting the ankles to bend, one thing that we might want to try to do is go over and check that the boots are not too tight. We can try loosening the top two buckles and then just seeing how much more flex they're able to get if it is a problem with the boot being too tight or too stiff. We can also go ahead and try to relate it to some sport that they play. If they're, say, a tennis player, or maybe they play basketball or soccer, they can imagine that someone is coming at them and they don't know what direction they're going to go, so they have to be able to move in either direction, and that can help many people, especially kids, find the proper position. Or you can have them just stand there as close to a good position as they can find, and then bounce from foot to foot, moving laterally, and then just compare that to what they might be doing, such as bending too much at the knees and it's like they're sitting on a chair, and then they can go ahead and try to see how much more difficult it is for them to move athletically. Or going ahead and moving their chest, leaning back at the waist so their chest is back behind their heels, and then trying to see if they can move athletically in that position, and then even noticing how hard it can be to keep from falling backwards. You can again go ahead and really put their body in the right position, the hand position, making sure that if everything is flexed too much and they can't figure out how to get up out of the chair, that you can assist them, that their chest is over their toes, and that this will help them find where it is they need to be. You can then try to add some weight to their shoulders and have them feel like they're flexing their ankles, their knees, and their hips as they're going down, and then they try to push you back up while you keep the weight on. This can help wake up their sensations and really make all the joints kind of work together in a coordinated fashion. If we're still having some difficulties, we can try to have them isolate and move just one joint at a time, and we can start off from the ground with the ankles, trying just only ankles, no knees, no waist, going forward and backward, and then seeing can they try to find just their knees without moving anything else. And finally, can they go ahead and try to just feel that they're moving at their waist. And again, if they're having problems, you can actually go down and help them find what it is that they're having difficulties with, if it's their ankles or if it's the knees or the waist, and just trying to move each one at a time. They can start to get a feel for where it is, that how they can kind of control that and what it feels like as they move each joint independently. They can try taking the tips of their ski poles and put them right on the shovels or the tips of their skis, and then try pushing down, weight down on the front, and that can help get their ankles moving forward if they've been unable to find it. It's another way to do it. And then you can have them return to that good position where they would feel their weight more right up over the balls of their feet. If that's still not getting the job done, they can actually try grabbing lower below the grips of the pole and then trying to push down with some weight. This can help keep some skiers forward even if they're in motion coming down the hill. By pushing down, it will help keep them forward, and that way they'll start to keep in their more forward position, make sure they're looking where they're going, and then they can go ahead and actually feel exactly where it would be as their chest is right over the balls of their feet with their hands more forward. Another thing that you can try to do is just step on the front of their ski so that it doesn't go anyplace, and have them try to push you away from them. And as they're doing that, it's helping to put them in the proper athletic position. When they're in motion coming down the hill, oftentimes you're giving them verbal commands such as stand up taller, get your weight up on your toes. And if nothing is working as they're moving down the hill and you're coaching and verbally giving the commands, one of the things you can do is again give them a little assist and say get taller, 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 and now okay, good, we've gotten up to where we need to be. If they're very on either really fast snow or snow that is a little bit rough and bumpy, but just for some people who are very timid, being on top of the wonder carpets is very high, and there is a lot of fear, and it makes it very difficult for them to stay in any kind of an athletic position. They want to try to get either back with their hips behind their feet by trying to sit down, or leaning back with their chest at their waist, trying to lean back and get the weight back on the tail of their skis. So by using a T-bar, you will help them get a sense of control so that you can then position them where they need to be, and then start very gradually letting them come in motion, trying to make sure that they can stay in a good position, stopping it when things get out of control, making sure that you've got them in that good position, and now you're able to start adding more and more speed. This way the student is learning right from the start how to find their more athletic position and maintain it, rather than just kind of skiing down the hill in a bad position and reinforcing that bad position. If things start to get out of position here, you can always slow things down, stop it, and then make any corrections that you need to make. If you run into a situation where, especially with some students, they just keep wanting to sit back and bend those knees a lot, and then when you say stand up, get your hips up over your feet, or stand up on your toes, any of those things can help get them to straighten up at the knees and get the hips up where they belong. But unfortunately, many times they will then bend backwards at the waist and put their chest back over their heels, and then when you say put your chest over your toes, when they come forward again, then the knees bend, and so it's kind of a backward forward thing, and it's very difficult for them to get that. You can go ahead and have them stand so their skis are across the hill, and this way it's almost as if they're on level ground again. If this doesn't allow you to get them back into a good position, going down actually on the bottom of the hill on level ground and working on the stance again. Remember, just because they have the level stance on the ground doesn't mean that they can maintain that. As soon as they get on a slope, that's when things will get challenging for them. Another thing that we can try is simply inserting a wedge between the boot shell and the inner boot, which will allow the leg or the ankle to bend a little more forward. And again, this is just a wedge that slides in and helps them flex their ankle forward. Any of these exercises can help with that very difficult task of helping people find that athletic stance with their chest over the balls of their feet and the weight right on the balls of their feet.